So what are we doing today?
We're gonna take a deep breath because we're cooking an Indian-inspired meal today. The Indians believe in mindful eating, which means breathing before you do any task, including eating.
Including cooking.
We are doing a sweet potato curry. It's gonna have coconut oil, coconut milk, cilantro, fennel, celery, parsley, lime, turmeric, garlic powder, hot pepper, cinnamon, ginger, salt, Himalayan salt, pistachios, walnuts, and almonds. This is an adrenal safe meal, which means, oh, we have onions and garlic as well. It's adrenal safe, which means it's high fat, which is the coconut oil and the coconut milk, and it's essentially a hypoallergenic food, which is the mighty sweet potato. Best, I guess it's the best root out of the potato family. It's the best you can buy. Onions cooked definitely lower when it comes to allergens and anti-inflammatory diets, and of course garlic is also really good for your immune health. I eat this curry, we make it once every 2 weeks easily, right? It's wonderful. You can have it for lunch, you can have it for dinner, you can serve it over rice, you can serve it with more broth, so it's like more of a soup, or you can serve it a little bit more dry, where it's almost like a roasted vegetable.
Put it over rice.
We love to put it over rice, but in this case, I think we're just gonna serve it clean, right?
Yep, make a soup.
So this is our sweet potato, Indian-inspired South Asian curry. All right, we're back to chop time.
Chop time.
Tony prefers to chop with a big French knife. I love to cut vegetables with my trusty paring knife. It's one of the most versatile knives you could buy. It could pretty much cut through everything except maybe tomatoes, which need a serrated knife. So Tony's gonna do the onions. He's gonna smash the garlic. You know how I feel about smashed garlic. We've already cut up the limes. I'm gonna start preparing the sweet potatoes, and then we're also gonna add celery and fennel to this dish. Fennel has a little bit more of a licorice taste, and then the celery is just gonna add a little bit of texture and water. I typically won't use only all fennel or only all celery. I use both. They come from the same family, extremely healthy. Just gonna cut this sucker up like this. Don't be afraid of the little beautiful hairy limbs. This is all the nutrients are in here as well. And you know, if you have celery tops, don't be afraid to cut them in. So obviously, always wash your vegetables well. Tony likes to buy that spray to wash the vegetables, but I personally think that's a gimmick. If you really want to get some of the wax off, you can always wash your vegetables with white vinegar. White vinegar is essentially a non-toxic way of cleaning anything, including your countertops, your floors, and your vegetables. So we're going to chop this up pretty good, right? And then we're going to have a nice sized sweet potato square, right? So with these, I'm going to slice up so I get smaller celeries. And then of course with my fennel, I'm going to cut off this nub. I try to save as much vegetable as possible. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to cross cut it. Of course, wash hands, never touch your face when you're cooking, never touch your face anymore now anyway. So see how I make it? It's almost like a chopped onion. The fennel is so good for you. The Italians serve fennel after meals as a digestive. It's a really incredible veggie, and it lasts a long time in your fridge. It has a pretty good shelf life, and you can keep cutting and using it. And like I said, we're gonna use some of the hair here. We love that. It gives it a little bit of texture. We're not afraid of that. And I'm just gonna chop these up. We don't have to use too much fennel. Right now, we're gonna use 3-4 large sweet potatoes. Here's your fennel. I'm gonna start chopping up my celery. The celery has a little bit of a bruising on it, but it's clean and it's good to go. Don't be afraid. Oftentimes organic vegetables have a little bruise or a mismatch about them. A perfect vegetable is always suspect in my eyes. So don't be afraid. Cutting this small slivers. These are gonna disintegrate in the stew. I'm gonna take that off. Then we have, I've already spun, washed, and dried our parsley and our cilantro. some dishes call for cilantro to be separated from the stem, but I actually use the stem on cilantro too. Some people say it's a little bit more bitter, but I really haven't found that. I like what the stem does. So what I'll do with the cilantro is I'll use a scissor. It's a great way to kind of separate the leaves from the stems a little bit. I'm not going to use the whole stem. But what I'll do is I'll just start to cut from there. And this way you still have the integrity of the leaf. You're not chopping it to smithereens. And now we're getting into the stems. Again, don't be afraid of the stems. They're totally fine, especially for this dish. And it's a really quick way to get through your cilantro. That's where I'll stop at the stems there. I actually collect these because I'll make a little veggie broth out of them. So, and with the same, now that I have this, we could chop parsley, but since I have the scissor, I'm gonna pull the parsley from here. I'm gonna just do the same. Great, and then that's it for the moment, right?
Yep. As Stephanie said, we do not chop garlic. What we try to do is we try to crush garlic. So what you basically do is you put the garlic down, then you take the knife, flat side, push it down, and then it's really easy to just peel off the skin, and now you have a garlic. And what ends up happening is that a lot of dishes ask you to make the garlic chop, which does sort of break some of the flavors out, but we prefer it because it stays sweeter if you keep the garlic whole and you cook with the garlic whole. And again, you'll see when we put it in, you just want to brown it. You don't want to overcook it because you don't want it to get bitter.
Exactly.
And
why don't you throw a sweet potato in there now too?
I'm going to show you, well, sure.
Are we going to do it with skin or without skin? You know I love the skin.
Well, let's do one without. And
so
then
the skin of a lot of vegetables have a lot of nutrients in it, and so often we're just skinning the carrot, skinning the potato. So Tony likes it skinned. I like it with the skin. So maybe we can do it like a cucumber shape where it has a little skin, no skin, little skin, and then we get the best of both worlds.
We can do that.
And then this one we get half the nutrients. Also, the skins can also be saved and put into your vegetable broth, which we're gonna do a segment on vegetable broth. But
so we're gonna save these
so then you have a little
pieces
bit.
here,
Perfect.
like so. And then, you know, it depends on what everybody likes to do. I prefer to have things bite-sized, but I err on a little bit bigger on the sweet potatoes than I did on the carrots and the celery, just because
they fall apart.
They fall apart a little, right? So that's it, about this size. And now we will go through the rest of these, and once we're done, we will get back to you. Ziggy. Hi, Ziggs. So Ziggy wanted to know what's going on. So hold on, I touched Ziggy, so I'm gonna wash my hands.
Yeah, we're gonna wash our hands. All right, so guys, we're ready to start cooking. Right now I have coconut oil heating up in my big vat right over here. So I'm just gonna put it on the high heat. I always cook everything at high heat right from the beginning. And the first thing we're gonna put on are the onions and the garlic. Throw the garlic in.
So the garlic
in
here first?
Yep. And then, what do you think, Greg? How's that?
I think that was good.
Okay. And then we have our onion. So you're going to notice that a lot of the dishes I make, we have that beautiful base of onion and garlic. It's essentially the base of most of my cooking. And I love it. I put a lot of coconut oil in here. Don't be afraid to use the coconut oil. It's going to give it really nice flavor. It's not bad for you. There's a lot of information going on right now about oils, high heat oils, adrenal diets, optimal health, optimizing plant-based diets, Bulletproof, David Osprey, he's been doing a ton of research on our connection between our brain and our intestines. If you realize they both look exactly the same. So this is why we love this dish, because it's totally adrenal healthy and it's really good. It feeds your brain, it feeds your intestines, it's light, it's easy to digest, and it totally is in line with those seeking more optimal health. I'm not a doctor. I would always say refer to your health care provider before you make any large changes, but I've read a lot on this and it really is true. Fennel, again, excellent for digestion. Celery is excellent for anxiety, which I think a lot of people have these days, especially with what's going on. So we're really just trying to feed our temples, our body, right? This looks really, really nice. So the fennel's a bit harder than the celery, so I'm going to throw the fennel in first, give it a little chance to cook down. You even have the stalks of the fennel. Some people throw that away. There's no reason to. You can cook it all. And then this is just our celery. We're going to put that in a minute. Let's mix that up. Great. Turn up the heat a little bit. Is it up? Yeah. So spices. So I'm going to put together the spices. Everything's simmering. What's in there?
We have the celery, the fennel, the onions, and the garlic.
And how's it looking? Is it
It's
brown yet?
They're translucent. They're starting to brown. It's looking really good.
Great. Turmeric. Excellent for you. Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. Absolutely genius. Himalayan salt. Another beautiful thing that we're all now obsessed with. It's like, where were we before Himalayan salt? Remember, it was like the Baleen French sea salt, and now we're on the Himalayan. This is an Indian-inspired Southeast Asian dish, so I'm omitting a lot of the very complex spices that typical Indian cooking uses. We will do that in a segment, but right now I'm just keeping this nice and simple. This is a nice, light, fresh coconut curry with a turmeric base. I've just added turmeric. I've just added the Himalayan salt. I'm going to add a little bit of the cayenne pepper, just like that. Don't be afraid. We can always add a little bit more. Cayenne pepper is excellent for your blood. Cinnamon, adding cinnamon, just like that. I have a little bit of ginger. Smells good. Throwing that in there just like that. Great. Just sprinkling it in. And a tiny bit of nutmeg. Like a tiny bit. Nutmeg is really, you could put nutmeg in a lot of things that you wouldn't think of. And what I'm doing right now is I'm pulverizing the spices to get the most out of them. Essentially, it's mostly turmeric. And turmeric has an amazing taste when it's combined with like parsley and coconut oil and milk. It's delicious. It smells really nice. I'm gonna put a little bit more ginger in there. I want to get a little bit more of a stronger sense out of it. And then when you're in doubt if you have curry in your house, you could also put in the pre-made curries that you can get at most any store. Right now I'm just going to try to make my own curry. Add a little bit more cinnamon. Great. And it's looking great. Now, tadka. What is tadka? Tadka is a way to get the spices, the most beneficial taste out of the spice through putting it in oil before adding the rest of the ingredients. So right now we have our base of our celery, our onion, our garlic, and essentially we have oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually saute up the spices. Really, that's what it is. Tone, you want to give that a mix?
Will do.
And this is why Indian kitchens smell so good, is because they always fry up their spices before they cook. It's called tadka. Oh, it smells good, huh?
Smells unbelievable.
It's funny what happens. It's funny what happens.
Maybe the iPhone 17 will have it.
When the turmeric hits the celery too, the celery and that licorice in the fennel, it kind of gives it this beautiful sweet and savory taste. So now we're going to put in essentially the sweet potatoes, right? We're ready. So this is where, yeah, this looks good. So these are the sizes that we're using, and they're going to definitely reduce in size once we start cooking them. But we're going to drop that into that beautiful yellow turmeric color base. This is about 4 sweet potatoes. That's actually a pretty big piece, but that's okay. Okay, great. Great. Tony, you want to smother?
I will
So my favorite thing to do is to smother those fresh vegetables with that oil base. Pepper really at the end, but just a little bit there since this is so heavily spiced. And I think you should turn up the heat a little bit. Don't be afraid. Yeah. So this is gonna be on high heat just as it is for a couple minutes until you really hear that sizzle sound. And once you hear that sizzle sound, we're gonna add the coconut milk. So we'll see you then. How is it, John?
It is looking good.
Ooh, my God, it's so good. Okay, great. So this is organic coconut milk. They have sweetened, they have unsweetened. You know, do what you, I mean, I don't know what I did here. I think I did the unsweetened, and the light. But then there are heavier versions, but they all will work. Some will give it a little bit different of consistency. But again, don't be afraid of ingredients. Don't be afraid of trying things. If you have these basics, the onion, the garlic, the celery, the sweet potato, the turmeric, the salt, the pepper, and the coconut milk, you're gonna have an amazing meal. I promise you that. I'm gonna actually add a little bit of water because we also wanna cook, the sweet potatoes down. Here we go. So adding a little bit of water. Great. So have a look at that. Take a look. See how it's faring. Oh my God. So that's, I mean, that's the magic right there. Just those colors themselves. They say all your cooking, you should have all the colors of the rainbow when you're eating, not just, you know, tomato. Not ketchup is not a vegetable. It's like have your greens, have your purples, have your oranges, yellows. Gorgeous. Great. Thanks. Hi. So we're cooking. Oh, we have to put a top on it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna throw a top on the pot, and then we're gonna cook the sweet potatoes probably for about 20 minutes. They don't need them. I mean, they were fresh, but they don't need an hour of cooking. They just need about 20 minutes. So we'll check on it in 20 minutes. In the meantime, what we're gonna do is oh, that cayenne pepper went in my nose. We're gonna do the topping. So I'm gonna serve this like almost like a stew, but with less liquid. So it's gonna be a stew. You can serve it on top of rice as we discussed. And what I like to do is I like to put like a nut grind, I call it a nut grind, on top. And it's really amazing because you have the softness of the sweet potato and then you kind of have the crunch of the nuts, and it's absolutely delicious. So what we did here is we have some almonds roasted, we have some pistachios roasted and salted, and we have some walnuts. By the way, of course, nuts are so good for you. I have my trusty little Cuisinart here. So first I put in the pistachios, just because I love pistachios. Then I'm gonna add the walnuts. Then I'm gonna add the almonds. And this is a little guy. I mean, they have them in all different sizes, but this will do it. And what's great about this mix, oops. Great. So I pulverized it to like a really nice coarse texture. See that? You don't want to get it too fine and you don't want it to be too crunchy. So what I'll do is I'll just put that there. And what's nice is the walnuts aren't salted and neither were the almonds, but the pistachios were. So you really do have enough salt in there. If you wanted to add a little bit, you can have like a little taste. Let me have a spoon. Oh yeah, that could use actually a little bit of salt. So what I'll do on this batch, I'll just add a little bit of the Himalayan. So that will get pulverized in there. Perfect. And now that we've done that, we have our, this can be jarred, by the way.
Yeah, you use it later on.
I feel like all jars have potential. I have my jar from the other day. It's an old Grey Poupon jar. Where is it? But anyway, whenever you buy something in glass, if you sterilize it in your washer, you can use it to hold food, spices, whatever you want. I don't know where it went. But anyway, this will be something, yeah, this will be something that I will use. We won't use this whole mixture for this dish, Sometimes I'll throw it on salad, sometimes I'll throw it on rice. You can use these, this nut mixture for all kinds of dishes. We're gonna now add, just so you know, the cilantro and the parsley. I like to add these kind of midway. We've been cooking for about 10 minutes, right? So just nice and gentle, flopping them in. And I'm gonna actually keep a few to garnish at the end. Some of the stems, so look in there, looks great. So we're gonna add a little coconut milk into this bowl, and then we're gonna add the lime to it. And the reason why we do this is because sometimes when you add, that's good, when you add lemon or lime to something, it can curdle any type of milk, whether it's a dairy, a butter, or even a coconut milk. These limes are a little dry on the outside, but they're perfectly fine on the inside. So what I'll do is ooh, this one's a little dry, hold on. There we go. So I'll add the lemon like this, or the lime, sorry. And what's really funny is if you just add it slowly, you can just be sure that you're not curdling any of it. Here. Sometimes if you curdle a whole pot, then you like ruin your whole dinner. So again, these are not the most juicy limes, but we had them and we're using them because food is sacred. We try to use it to their end. Actually, the juice is really nice. It's just a little dry. And here's one more. I'm using a bunch of limes. I love the taste of lime. I'm not afraid. You can't be worried whether, you know, it's not 1 or 2 or 3 limes. Just put a bunch in, depending on how big your pot is. And then this one. There we go. All right, so our little limes, we got the most out of them. Great. I don't know why limes are cheaper than lemons. It's a funny thing. I'm actually going to add a little bit of lemon just because I want a little bit more citrus in there. I had an extra lemon from the other night. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And if you look, there's no curdle, which we're really happy about. It's a perfect kind of turmeric broth. It's gorgeous. Remember when you're cooking with turmeric, it stains really easily. It's okay if you stain your cutting board, but you don't want to stain your countertops or your marbles. So usually the spoons that you're working with, always put them on a dish or like a soup holder because they will stain your countertops. All right, let's take a look. You want to come in? Looking really good. How are they? Are they softening up, Tony?
They are. I
What
think
do you
they
think,
need
10,
like another 10 minutes, so it'll probably be a half an hour
Half hour?
of cooking time total.
Oh, total, yeah. But another 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Cool. Great. So that's that. The next stop will be our final dish. We'll be back. Hi. So we're back. We finished our sweet potato curry. One thing that you should think about when you're cooking a curry is after you've cooked it for the 30 minutes that we did, let it sit. So this has been now sitting for almost 2 hours. And as a result, you have just amazing flavor. All right. So what I've done is I've actually I'm warming it up now again. And then we changed our mission a little bit and Tony made rice. Tony, talk to us about your rice.
Guys,
This is the best, fluffiest rice ever.
all I do differently is I put in a little bit more than the 2 cups of water to 1 cup rice. So just a little bit more. That way it just stays wetter and doesn't dry out. That's it.
I love this rice. Okay, so how are we serving this dish? We're gonna put a blanket of rice. This is my beautiful Indian dish that was given to me by a friend of mine, Rebecca. And now this is all bubbling again, so the temperature is just right. So it depends if you want a little bit more dry or a little bit more with sauce. We're gonna first pick up the sweet potato, put it over, and then we want that rice to be submerged. So I'm gonna just put it around, just like that, maybe a little bit more. And then what we like to do is we like to garnish it with the parsley and the cilantro that we cut with. Be generous. And then this, can you pass me a spoon?
Sure.
This is that nut crunch that I made, pistachio, walnut, and almonds, with a little Himalayan salt, ground up in a food processor. And I love to just shake it. Shake it. All protein. Again, adrenal safe, high in proteins. And you can eat this with a fork or a knife. We're gonna eat it with a fork just because we're gonna scoop up the rice. You ready?
Go ahead. You go first.
So I'm gonna grab a piece of sweet potato first. Make sure you have some beautiful leaves with it.
I'm gonna do the same.
Great. Ma, you wanna try?
Actually, it looks most delicious. I love it. I'll save it for dinner.
Oh my God.
It's our dinner for this
That
evening.
would be on. The nuts, I don't know what the nuts do, but they just do it. So this is our wonderful Indian-inspired turmeric sweet potato curry, coconut milk. Enjoy, bon appetit.
Amazing.
Amazing.